What's up, Cradle fans? It's Bamfius back with another episode of Information Requested. I'm here by myself today. Just kidding. Remix is here too. What's up,
What's up, guys?
Remix? How's it
Oh,
going?
nothing.
Say hi to the family,
What's up,
the,
fam?
the Information Requested family.
Welcome.
How's it
Welcome.
going in Germany,
It's all
in the
right.
Deutschland?
It's not too bad. It's the same, getting used to it. Recycling twice a week, so that's fun.
Love that. My neighborhood still like the recycling. They only come once every 2 weeks,
Mm.
and I recycle more than that, and it's a problem.
Well, we have to go to the recycling center, so I get to go to recycling is however many days a week. I like to drive to the recycling center, so except for Sunday, because you can't do anything in Germany on a Sunday. But yeah,
It's the day of rest remixed.
yeah, I guess
It's
so.
my day of reading. It's also what is Sunday? Sunday is the weekly date night day in the Bamfias
Mm.
household.
Nice. Our date
Yeah.
nights don't exist anymore because we have a 10-month-old baby, so he gets all the attention right now.
Mrs. Remix and Remix Jr. Remix Jr. hogging
Yep,
all the attention.
that's
What
right. He
time is
deserves
it
it.
there in
It's
the Deutschland?
almost 10 p.m. It's
Gotcha. So
9:40.
it's like 21:40.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right. Well, let's start talking about stuff.
Sure.
True or untrue, you might be leaving the Deutschland.
It is true, but it's a big might. If I had a percentage uh, chance that I would be moving within the year, I'd say it's like 30 or 40% right now. But I don't know.
Are you calculating these odds the same way you calculate your poker odds when you
Oh, I hope
play?
not. If it's the same way I've calculated my poker odds,
Or
then I'm becoming a permanent
absolutely
resident,
not
possibly
moving.
citizen of Germany.
They'd be happy to have you. Happy
Yeah.
to have you. Okay. Well, that's cool. What have you been reading? I have a lot to talk about there, actually. I made a solo video, non-podcast about a series that I want to talk about at some point that you've read, right? Actually,
The
let's just
first
talk
book,
about that
Soul Home.
with the
Uh,
Werke Chronicles. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I've only read the first one because, Audible. It's not, the rest of it isn't out on Audible yet. If I had time to read, then that would be the series that I would want to go after the most because um,
It's a
it's
cool
very
magic
interesting.
system.
The first book was really good, so.
Yeah, the on her Patreon, she said something about how the first 3 books will definitely be on Audible and definitely be done by Travis. We will talk about Travis here in a second, but he's pretty busy lately. And
Oh yeah.
so the queue for the next books of the Werke Chronicles is I don't know where it is in the queue, but it's not up next, basically.
Yeah,
But
I
the
think.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say the point of me mentioning this, y'all, if you let's support Sarah Lynn because like this series has so much potential, and I feel like more so than Cradle, and some of y'all are gonna like scream at me, but more so than Cradle, this series has been like planned from book 1 to book 12, I guess, for to be like a unit. So like there are plot lines and foreshadowing that are vague but are building. And I think that it because Cradle to me, it's 4 trilogies that are part of a cohesive story, but there's like 4 arcs. I don't think that Sarah Lynn's Werke Chronicles is written that way. And so the direct comparison, they're not the same kind of series, but they're both progression fantasy. They both have like cool magic systems and cool fights and powerful people and interesting locales. But just the way that the series has been crafted is pretty different. So we need to support Sarah Lynn's Audible journey. I mean, across the board, but definitely the Audible journey, so the whole series can be narrated by Travis.
Yeah. I feel like Travis is starting to suffer from his success in the same way that Jeff Hayes and everybody over at the Sound Booth Theater kind of do, whereas a lot of people don't end up picking up books, at least from the people that I've talked to. They end up not picking up a book until it's got a few out on Audible, and because there's such a huge backlog for this one narrator, you kind of get this really long queue, and then a lot of people don't end up picking up the books before, you know, 2 or 3 have been released, which could be a year or more, because of how popular Travis has gotten. But yeah, definitely
Yeah,
pick up Soul Home on Audible, and then if you're also a reader, highly recommend picking there's 3 other ones out. There's
there's 4. There are
okay,
4. There's 4 out, and the 5th one is being released in 2 chapter chunks every Saturday on Patreon.
nice.
Yeah. So there are 10 chapters. So probably like a third of the 5th book has been released already on Patreon. And it's kind of nice because I am a patron of Shirtaloon, He Who Fights with Monsters, and Sarah Lynn. They're the only 2 people I'm patrons of. And Shirtaloon publishes a chapter every day at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time
That's
on
crazy.
Patreon, but it's every weekday. So every weekday I get a chapter, and then on Saturdays I get 2 chapters from Sarah Lynn. It's nice.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, and you anyway. So speaking of Travis Baldry, he has a book coming out in I don't know, 5 days or so.
Mhm.
Yeah, 5 days. I'm gonna share my screen here in a second. Um,
Legends and Lattes is what it's called. And
Legends and Lattes. All right, I'm gonna show on stream now. It's not really a stream, but whatever. Legends and Lattes. It's $3. It's 258 pages, and everyone's excited to read it. Although apparently, I don't know. You kind
yeah,
of put
on
you kind of
Twitter, I've
you put me on tilt. You put me on tilt, dude.
Twitter has people showing that they've already read it, and Travis wasn't kind enough to send us a signed copy early, like a lot
How
of these people
dare
got,
he?
I think.
Friend of
I'm
the
just
show. No Legends and Latte love. God, we could have
uh,
like read an excerpt from it while drinking. I don't drink lattes, but I drink coffee.
I don't know if Travis wants anybody besides him reading his book out loud. I'll probably butcher it, but
That's so true. Oh my god, I have a story real quick about how bad I am at reading at like narrating books. Have I mentioned this story before?
no.
Okay. So kind of a dark beginning to this story, but this is a time when my fiance's in a coma in like the surgical ICU of like a tier 1 trauma center hospital. So dark days. Well, her favorite series growing up was Harry Potter, super unique, not a common series for people to like. Well, I thought it would be like, when people are in comas, everyone says, "Oh, you should read to them." So I tried to read her the Harry Potter. Um, and that sounds like, oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, well, about after the prologue or chapter 1 or whatever, like the Dumbledore going to Privet Drive,
Mhm.
I got this vibe that not only was Megan hearing me, she was hating every second of me trying to
Oh,
read this book.
no, poor Megan.
So I took the hint. I don't know how you take the hint from someone in a coma, but she was exercising powers beyond the norm, tickling my sixth sense. So I stopped and instead bought all of them on audiobooks. So it was like a full cast and played that instead. And months later, when she's out of the coma and recovering and stuff, I asked her about that. And I was like, "What, did you think it was annoying that I was trying to like narrate those books to you?" And she said it was so annoying. Like it was
Oh, no.
distracting. I was trying to like, I don't know, she was dealing with like minor hallucinations at the time. So
Oh,
she was like
jeez.
creating her own world in her head. She's like, "You were distracting me from like the one little solace I had in this
Oh,
situation."
no.
And I'm just like, "Oh my God, that's the opposite of what I wanted." So
That's horrible.
you bringing up the point that Travis probably doesn't want anyone else narrating books of his, you're 100% right when it comes to me. Nobody should ever hear me read to them.
I mean, now we have to hear you
Oh
narrate.
my
Maybe that
God,
should be a
no.
punishment for
Don't
some
you
bets or something.
that's don't you want this like our readers to like come back for more? You know, like I
Well, we'll
don't
make
want
it
to
a
cause
separate
ears to
video.
bleed. I don't want to
We'll have
bust
a
eardrums.
we'll have a punishment playlist where you're just narrating. I don't know, 50 Shades of Grey. There we go. I'll have you
What?
narrate that.
No, I quit. I quit. I'm quitting YouTube. No more Cradle videos. If you want more Cradle videos, you should message Remixt on YouTube or Discord, telling him he's a wrong person, and he should feel wrong.
All
And
right.
I will shout out everyone that does so, and Remix sends me a screenshot of. That could be what I
Anyway,
read. I could read off all the names of the people who told you why you're wrong.
true. You could do that,
It's a
or
beautiful thing. We could talk more about Legends and Lattes.
we could talk about that. I don't know much about the book other than the blurb. And I've seen people on Twitter giving it rave reviews. Unfortunately, I can't read it and let you know if it's good or not, but I'm betting it is. Um,
Yeah, I'm let's see. Let me think about this. Some backstory. I'm pretty sure he wrote this explicitly over NaNoWriMo in 2021.
wow.
So he wrote it over NaNoWriMo, and then it was good enough. And the partners that he had, like his accountability buddies, told him to turn it into an actual novel. So then he went through the process. And it's been really enlightening to see his thoughts on the whole sequence, on the whole process of writing the book, getting edits done, getting cover art done, blah, blah, blah. And he's posted a lot of his journey on his Facebook, which I've like bookmarked a bunch of like the updates because I'm trying to write my own, and that's some pretty helpful information. So Legends and Lattes comes out in 5 days. I've already pre-ordered it. Y'all should pre-order it. We'll put an affiliate link in the description below so you can support the podcast and support Travis and support yourself all at the same time. It's a win-win-win. You're welcome.
Triple win. Those are rare.
Triple win. All right. What else have you been reading? Yeah. Yeah. You talk for a
So
while.
a lot of stuff, but so first I'm gonna talk about a book that we mentioned in the last episode, which was Lord January by Dakota Kraut. I did read it. Um, it's really good. I thought it was kind of like, I don't know, a side quest kind of story, but it is, as far as I know, gonna have 12 books in the series, and um,
When you
it's
say side quest, what do you mean?
I mean, kind of like a one-off,
Is
like
it in any
kinda
of his other
short.
universes?
uh I don't know. It could be. I don't think so, but I don't know. It's really hard to tell from the first book. Um, but I think the universe is more fleshed out than I was expecting for this. I thought it was kind of gonna be like a little novella, like not as big as his other universes. Like what's it called? The old guy. Why am I Artorian? The Artorian
Artorian?
archives being in the same universe as the Divine Dungeon series or whatever. This is
If
like
the Completionist Chronicles. If you want to learn about how Dakota Kraut and Vanderkirken like have envisioned the creation of Eternium, that's what Artorian's archive says. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
right. So this universe seems to be pretty much just as complex, based off of the first book,
Complex,
and
huh? Oh no.
yeah, it's very good though. Like it's got a very narrow vision, just like the very first book of the Divine Dungeon series. Like, and you kind of expand it very slowly. I feel like the pacing of Dakota Kraut's books are generally really good. You get these bite-sized world building pieces as you're learning with the character instead of kind of being info dumped, like Gardens of the Moon style. So the premise is there's this guy that's fat, but not as fat as everybody else. And in fact, he's considered to be skinny, even though his BMI was like 35 or something, which is still, obese.
Wait, it tells you what his BMI is?
It gets mentioned a few times, because he gets like this sword that tells him what his BMI is, like a sword spirit in his head that is basically forcing him to work out because contrary to popular belief in this character's city, or not even city, it's more like a county, district, whatever. Everybody thinks that eating and being gluttonous and stuff is like the path to power. Like that's how you cultivate, and you can do it that way, but it's nowhere near as good as like being physically fit. So they've all been like misled in this
Mm,
whole district by the Lord January, who is like the fattest of all of them and considered to be the most powerful because he's so fat. And the main character was the reason why he's so skinny is because he's kind of like a street urchin, because he was born on a leap year. In this universe, if you're born in a leap year, you kind of don't have a place because you can't celebrate your birthday every year, and everybody's named after like a day of the month or like a day of the week or something like that. And because his birthday only occurs like once every 4 years or whatever, he's what's called a leap, like they call them the leaps, uh, and they kind of discriminate against him. So he doesn't get as much food as everyone else. He kind of picks up the scraps, and he finds out that that's like kind of a good thing when he stumbles upon this sword. But I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it's really good.
that
Highly recommend reading it. What
I
what'd you say?
just the more you talk about it, there's like I oscillate between hell yeah and huh, hell
Yeah.
yeah and hmm.
Yes. So the first chapter of the book
Hmm.
will have you oscillating a lot, because it seems really dumb, like, but it's like the more you read, the more interested you get until you're like, I'd say like one third of the way in, I couldn't put it down. It's it's like a
Okay.
really weird concept, and it starts out a little slow, but as you find out uh, more and more of like the world and like all these preconceptions people have on people that are born on leap years and everything like that. The lore actually gets really deep, which I did not expect. I thought this was literally just going to be about people eating, but uh, there's a lot more to it than that, and like I don't want to spoil it too much. So it's very good. I would trust me and and
Oh
pick it up.
God. All
Um,
right. I have it. I'm looking at my Kindle books and I have it there alongside Blade of Ghosts and Testament of Steel and
you still
Battlefield
haven't read those?
Reclaimer. I'm going to
Yeah.
read them. I'll tell you what I've been reading.
Okay.
I've been reading Randidly Ghosthound. I
Okay.
discovered that if you take the link from Royal Road of a chapter and you put it into the Speechify app, it will not just grab one chapter, it will grab 10 chapters. So you will be able to listen to 10 chapters at a time. And Speechify is an app that like uses AI to like parse through text and then read it to you. And apparently it's been like raised venture capital from Gwyneth Paltrow because she's one of the premium voices that you can use. So if you want to listen to Gwyneth Paltrow read you fantasy, that's a thing. But they have a bunch of other premium voices that sound like real people. And so
Hmm.
I've just been listening. I probably listened to like 450 chapters over the
Interesting.
last since we talked. Um, and
Wow.
actually, I can tell you how many hours I've listened on my Speechify. You can't see that, but on my Speechify app, I didn't expect this to go this way, but I do kind of want to talk about this app because
Sure.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, over the expanse of my time, I've listened to 43 hours of content, and it saved me. And I put this in quotes. Saved me 78 hours. I've listened to like 700,000 words.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and apparently, um, where's like okay, here we go. They have like these tiers of like these listening tiers. And I'm currently on the master tier where if I listen to 100, if I listen to 1,000,000 words, I get an extra 15,000 high def words. Then there's the grandmaster tier and the enlightened tier. And if you complete the enlightened tier, you get a call with the CEO.
What the
So
heck?
at some point, I might have a call with the CEO and tell him about my thoughts on his app and stuff like that. But
I'm gonna
yeah,
download that now.
it's been a really cool way to very easily listen to like Royal Road web novels. I like it a lot. I recommend it.
I might have to take you up on that because Audible is a big deal for me, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
pretty cool. So
just wanted to call that out. So yeah, I've been listening to Randidly Ghosthound, and it's getting pretty deep into the story, and it gets better and better. Honestly, it's I mean it's a fucking power fantasy. Let's be honest. Like Randidly Ghosthound is extremely overpowered for everyone on Earth, but throughout the story, he keeps having to leave Earth for various reasons, and everywhere he goes, he's like a prodigy, but he's nowhere near that powerful. And he has to like keep trying to grow. But because of circumstances, he's able to grow faster than everyone else. And so it's just so much fun. But like, God, I just, the shit that the author comes up with, like the amount of like fanciful naming he has to do, it blows me away. Like, I struggle to even think of like the names of normal characters in my book. And this guy's coming up with like crazy ass names for all sorts of crap.
yeah, I just started reading or listening to the second um, release on Audible. It just came out, I think, yesterday. And yeah, it's getting pretty crazy already. I think I'm like on chapter 17 on part 2, which I have no idea how that lines up um, with the Royal Road version of it, but
I think book 2 started at like chapter 88 or something like that. And I'm on
uh,
chapter like 14, 18, I think.
holy crap! I didn't. That's insane that it's got that many chapters. That's
Yeah, it's wild. But the cool fun part is that it keeps getting better, like the more you learn about the Nexus and stuff like that. It's wild. And it goes from like a lit RPG into kind of like a cultivation story later on. I mean, there's still like the framework of the system, but
right.
there's like I don't know, it makes sense. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I think where you are, other towns, he's starting to like experience other towns and stuff like that.
Yeah, he just I'm gonna have to go back and listen to because I can't be sure exactly what the heck just happened, but he just fought everybody in the town that he helped bring up.
Oh,
I'm blanking on the
Donington.
name. Yeah, he just fought everybody and then lost and was pissed off about it.
Well, yeah,
Um,
he could have won, but it would have meant that he just
killed
like killed
everybody.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember why he was fighting them, and I think I blanked out when
He was
or like
fighting
stopped
them
listening.
because he doesn't want to be the leader, and
Uh,
he wants them to be strong enough to protect themselves. And he wants Donington to be strong enough to protect all the humans, but he can't always be there. And so he fought them all to show them how weak they are.
yeah,
Um,
and then found out they weren't.
well, I mean, he crushed everyone. And it wasn't until he fought like a raid group of like 20 of the best that
Yeah,
and he still like whooped all their asses. It's just there
he
was
did
like a
technically lose because he
yeah,
couldn't. He
yeah.
didn't
He
want to kill them.
conceded. Yeah, there's later on in the story, there's a part 2 where he challenges Donington again when like everyone's way stronger and he's way stronger, and it's pretty dramatic.
Hmm, looking forward to that.
Yeah, but it was important because he Has he left to a different planet yet?
No.
Okay. Okay, because like the first
Spoiler
time,
alert. Jeez.
yeah. Well, I mean, I just told you he has to leave Earth to like because of circumstances.
Because of reasons.
Yeah.
Um, cool. So yeah, Randidly Ghosthound. Highly recommend picking that up too. It's or reading it on Royal Road if you don't want to read it on or listen to it on Audible. Um,
Indeed.
yeah.
We're halfway through the podcast. Do you want to talk about Dreadgod for the
I
rest
have
of the
one more
time?
book to recommend,
Okay.
because I liked it too much to not mention it. Um, it's definitely a little less serious, but it's still very good. It's very short, in the way of Audible goes anyway. It's like 7 hours, I think, but it's called Arrival, Legends of Arenia. It's going to be a series, but right now there's only one book. It's narrated by Jeff Hayes. It's by P.A. Parsons, who I don't think I've heard of. Um, I don't. Yeah, he's got one book and that's it. So, it is a lit RPG, but it's unique in the sense.
Shocker.
Yeah, uh,
It's
it
unique in the sense.
it follows an entire family that accidentally gets teleported into a world that has a system, and these uh, that took them there fucked up, and they're like basically in a corporation, and they're like trying to get them to like sign this disclaimer saying that it's okay or whatever, and the family is like pissed off that their lives basically just ended for no reason, and so long story short, they get thrown into this planet, but they have like some compensation, like a head start against other people that are in that world. Uh, One of those things is that they are given a house, which is like really rare to own property on this planet, I guess. Um, and but they also fucked up again when they send them down to the planet. They all get spread out. So then they get this quest that's like find your house. So all these it shows like each character's perspective, like each chapter is a different character, and it shows like their journey to trying to get to this house, and it ends up being like an adventure for every single one of them. And it's really cool because like each character has a very unique experience and personality, and different ways of dealing with problems. So you have like all the way from like a 95-year-old dude, and he like took longer to get sent down because he refused to sign the terms and conditions because he knew he was probably going to die when he got down to the planet. So he's like, I want to be not old anymore. And they're like, we can't fucking make you not old anymore. Like we can't do that. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not signing it until you can fix that. So then they like made him immune to his to basically the stat debuffs that he would have as an old person. So like his back wasn't hurting anymore, and like his agility was like higher than it should have been. So he was basically young again, but he was still not actually young. So his mortality
It's
would
like
still be
when
there.
it's like when like a basketball player dresses up as an old man and goes to like the NBA street courts.
Exactly, exactly like that.
Woo.
So, but supposedly his lifespan wasn't affected, but his stats and stuff were back to being like how they would
Gotcha.
at
So
his
his
peak.
quality of life was dramatically improved.
Right. And then there's a kid that has seizures, and the seizures he ends up creating like his own unique magic where he can push his seizure into this staff and then basically transfer the seizure to a monster and ends up killing like an extremely high level monster because it's having a seizure and it slices its own head off. Like
Spoiler
weird.
alert.
That wasn't that. It's not that big of a spoiler. It was. But
God,
anyway.
that like
Um.
combat sequence when I read it is just going to be so less exciting because I want to know
um.
if little Johnny and his seizures goes
I don't
bad.
think his name's Johnny, but it's really good. Highly recommend picking that up. It's fun. It's funny. It's like super funny. And Jeff Hayes narrates it. So.
All right.
Yep.
Well, that's Arrival, and we have now
Oh my
arrived
God.
at
Shut
the
up.
Dreadgod discussion. Hey,
Yeah.
God, you love those silky smooth transitions.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Super
Well,
super smooth.
this is the beginning of the remix cut, Dreadgod edition.
Oh
So
God.
what do you think happens in Dreadgod Remix? What do you think? I know you've been thinking about this nonstop since our last call. You've been
Man,
pondering.
I have no confidence in my theories at all anymore. Will has pummeled my uh what's the word? My predictions into the dirt every time. So, but we'll give it a shot. So and let me think. What happened at the end of Reaper? So Athan is Osriel. That's the big one. Um,
The Destroyer came. That's what happened at the end of Reaper.
right.
The
Yeah.
Reaper showed up.
Yeah. The Reaper. Yeah. Anyway, so let's see what will happen at the beginning of the book is Lyndon and the gang, minus Athan now, will make their way into the labyrinth and do some exploring. What they'll find in the labyrinth, I have no idea.
Wait. Oh, you're saying that now that Lyndon has the authority over the labyrinth, they're
Right.
gonna look around the labyrinth and find all the goodies?
Yeah, find all the treasures that haven't been found yet, or maybe find, ways to utilize some of the tools that they already found. Like they found that forger in there, right? That's still there, isn't it?
What do you mean?
The where he created the fuck the he was in there and Ethan was like instructing him how to create this thing that I can't remember. I should have reread the book before we did this. Um, you don't remember that?
Like the hunger forger technique that allows
Yeah.
you to like talk to people that were there before or train against them
Well,
or whatever.
wasn't there a soul forge in there or something?
Holy crap. Okay, so the Soul Forge is inside a pocket world,
Right.
basically. The
Fuck.
Soul
Okay,
Forge is
never
its
mind.
own pocket world. Yeah, the Soul Home is attached to the
Yeah,
labyrinth.
yeah. Okay. Well,
Reagan
never
Shen
mind.
actually built the labyrinth, and inside the labyrinth, he built the Soul Home. We're off to a great start, y'all.
This is
Great
so
start.
bad.
Which is why the
Uh,
remix cut must
why
continue to live
do we
on.
have to do this
We must,
painful?
we must fuel it because Remixed, you have a unique perspective in that you believe so strongly in like the narrative that you want, and we all need to know what that narrative is.
I mean, the narrative that I want is for Will to come rescue me and tell me what happens. Um,
Oh,
so
God. Oh
anyway,
man, like what a worldview. It's like the only thing I want to happen is the impossible. And I will
exactly.
not be satisfied if the impossible doesn't
So
happen.
so I don't know the specifics of what's going to happen, but what I think will happen for sure is Lyndon will attempt to absorb power from one of the Dread Gods using his new arm.
Okay.
Um, and I think
See, that's
that,
logical.
yeah, I think that's going to go horribly wrong at least one time. So he may do it more than once. I think the first time, um, he may end up putting himself into some sort of weird coma that's like the one Mercy was in, where she got sucked into her book or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
because if it doesn't, or if it goes well the first time, then what's going to happen in the rest of the book, you know? Um,
Yeah, it's like the book ends. There's nothing
yeah.
else that could happen after that. That's the final frontier,
Um,
absorbing the power of a dread god.
I think has Lennon advanced in every single book so far? I forget.
No, no.
It's just the
You might remember there was a book called Unsold where he has unsold the entire book.
okay, that's not he still goes to the
He also doesn't advance in Skysworn.
Skysworn. I knew there was one book where he didn't. I think that this is going to be another one of those where he doesn't advance because
He doesn't
uh
advance in Uncrowned either.
okay, I said another one. I didn't say the only one.
Okay, so
It's
you
late,
think
okay.
you think
Uh
he advances in Dreadgod, huh?
I said I don't think he's going to advance in Dreadgod.
Oh, sweet.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I don't think he will.
I don't know how I feel about
Um
that.
I think he's going to try. Um
to become a monarch by becoming a herald because he's already a full sage.
Right. I think the arm might actually be what causes the problems in that
Oh
trial of
yeah,
advancement.
he probably hasn't had it
Um,
long enough. His spirit will like be all confused.
yeah. Um, but I think Yaren.
That
Okay,
actually
if I
gives
was
me a
writing
really
the
good
book, this is
idea.
what would happen. Uh, just to piss off the readers, I think Yaren would will advance the monarch, and she'll be forced to ascend without Lyndon.
God, someone doesn't love love.
I mean, no, I like their relationship, but I think that
It's like Lyndon
I don't know.
finally finds someone that's willing to kiss him, and then she's too impressive that she gets kicked off the planet because of ideals and principles.
Well, I my reasoning behind this is I think if both Yaren and Lyndon are monarchs together on the planet at the same time, then that makes the rest of the story too easy because they can gang up on other monarchs and force them to ascend much more easily if they, you know, uh, if they both refuse to ascend until the other monarchs ascend or whatever and throw shit into chaos.
If
So
Lyndon hits Monarch, he will have done it in like fucking 6 years or something insane.
yeah, that's nuts.
From Foundation to Monarch in 6 years
I mean, he
or
did have
something.
Osriel kind of pushing him, but so I don't know if he's a
Fair enough.
prodigy or if
I think the
Osriel.
only thing that Lyndon is good at is advancing.
True, and it is kind of part of his identity, his overlord
Yeah.
thing or whatever.
He had like he was suppressed. Like he was suppressed from being his true self for so long that yeah, well here I'm gonna ask you a couple questions.
That sounds much better than this train wreck. So,
What do you think about how Lyndon will use the labyrinth's uh, spatial authority?
um,
The labyrinth can
I
teleport large groups of people all over the planet relatively easily, I think. So, how do you think that will be used in terms of the story?
I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know how much in danger anybody is from his sect anymore. Like I don't know where the Dread Gods are. Uh,
We don't. We know that the Wandering Titan is on Ashwind. We know that the Bleeding Phoenix was in over the trackless sea. We know that the Silent King was on oh god, the moon continent or whatever it's called, the continent of Emrys Silentborn, because that's where it was like contained and it got away. But that was its last known location. And as for the Weeping Dragon, we have no idea because it was floating over the Ice Flower continent, I think. And then it woke up and it like wanted to go like steal a bunch of shit because it's a dragon.
right. So here is the problem I have with predicting what I think he'll do is other than as an evacuation system for people that he cares about, um, I don't know what his goals are other than advancement. Um, I don't because like what happened in the last book at the end, he kind of like lost. They kind of both him and Yaren and I guess Mercy to a certain extent kind of lost their guide in Athen,
Well,
who kind of drove
we know
their
we know to a degree what their goals are currently.
maybe finding Rhaegon Shin and
Well, the unfinished business. Because like they spoke with Suriel. Like he said he has unfinished business on Cradle at the end of Reaper. Because
right,
Suriel is right there. Um, and then she smiles because it's like a throwback to when she asked him to surprise her because she can see the various threads of fate, but she doesn't know what he's going to pick. But one of the biggest parts of Bloodline was when he resolved himself to fight the Wandering Titan, to um, advance, like not just advance in the sense of progression, but like advance forward when shit hits the fan. So he's not going to give up on that mission, in my opinion. I think he's going to try to figure out a way to get all the monarchs to advance so that the dread gods are no longer a problem for Cradle. I'm pretty sure that's like a stated mission of his and Yaren. Well, not Yaren doesn't know yet the secret,
Right, and he can't say anything about it, right?
right? But Athan did. But that was like his goal. His goal from the very beginning was to protect the people that he cared about from the dread gods. And kind of what I thought, I haven't actually made a video about this, but I've been thinking about this a lot. What bloodline, what bloodline means, like that book, like what that meant. Um, it was an interesting book in that Lyndon returns home, has all the issue with the people that he's around, but then ends up choosing to save his home from the Wandering Titan, even though most of the people were out of the geographic vicinity. And I think like what he wants his bloodline legacy to be is that of like a protector of Cradle from dread gods. I don't really know how that would manifest into an ability, but he wants to rid the world of dread gods so that his bloodline, like he doesn't have a bloodline yet, but I guess maybe through his sister, if she has kids with whoever she ends up having kids with. I know she's flirting with Jai Long. That
right.
like they have something. So basically, like no more dread gods, and the Linden clan doesn't have to worry about them. That's kind of what I felt like like the whole fucking purpose of Bloodline was.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess what I mean is that he has the goal of forcing them to ascend, but there's kind of like there's very little to go off of like how he plans on doing that. Like I don't know if like he's gonna fight them or if he's
Yeah,
gonna
that's a tough
uh
one.
one thing that I think it's possible, I don't know if how probable it is gonna happen, but maybe the sect of twin stars was kind of like a hint from Athan that like bringing other people up more quickly, like
Oh,
forcing other people to not forcing, but helping other people advance much more quickly than the world politics kind of allow normally.
well, so the more I think about this, again, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I haven't made these videos yet, but I'm going to be making like a series of Dread God videos, like multiple ones, talking about various things I'm looking forward to and various things I've thought about. But because you're listening to the information requested, wow, because you're listening to the information requested podcast, you
Nice.
get a sneak peek. And I kind of lost my train of thought there. What was I talking about? What were you
You wanted to
talking?
make a bunch of videos
No, but
about
like about Lyndon and Yaren and
raising the
progression.
helping everybody advance more quickly
Oh
is what I
my
was talking
god.
about, and then
Yeah. Oh, okay. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
mhm.
Humans, when they're isolated for long periods of time, start to get like kind of warped thoughts. Like the even introverts, they isolate themselves for short periods of time to like recharge, but all
Mhm.
humans require like other human connection. And this is a multiverse that is anchored to order by humans. And so the Executor program in the past took individuals and sent them out individually to do things against the that not bound by the Elatari Pact. So they're affecting fate by themselves. So they don't have anything to anchor them to who they were, and they're just slowly corrupting themselves because they're jacking with all these different fates by themselves with nothing to anchor them. I think the secret there, and one of the biggest issues with the Abaddon right now, is that these people are so powerful that they don't like to work together. One of the coolest scenes in all the books is when all the Abaddon judges come together and fight together. But they said it's the first time it's happened in thousands of years. The first time that the most effective fighting force in existence comes together to work as a team is for thousands of years. So I think that what Osriel slash Athan's goal is to create a team that is not bound by the Eldari Pact that is able to go in and save worlds and fuck with fate as a team. But because they are a core unit, the ability for the individual to get corrupted is like way harder. That's what I think like the ultimate Osriel goal is, and how it kind of uh consolidates, or I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but the issue with Osriel's mission is that it's been attempted before and it failed.
Yeah,
And like what is something that can be attempted that might not fail? Well, like human connection, and there's no I in team, etc. That whole sporting hoorah rah.
right.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know how much of a goal Ethan had as far as having teamwork be the the experiment that he was trying to do on Cradle. I feel like he was there in a more selfish manner, maybe at first, and then maybe this idea when he had found Urine and Linden, and then discovered like the kinship with them. Maybe then that started to form as a possibility, or even now, maybe it's
Well,
now that
didn't
he's out back as Osriel. Maybe now he's thinking about that, but he isn't trying to
but isn't
protect
that
them.
well, like, so the whole point of him disappearing was to try and find a solution, like to give himself a break and to find a solution to the problem that no one else was willing to attempt to solve.
Right.
And ever since he talked to Lyndon and Yaren, he said the whole point of this is I'm looking for people to rise with me, to come up with me, to change the world with me as a team. It was always about teamwork since the very beginning. And the prologue, the prologue of okay, so you might be right in some respects, in that the prologue of Reaper shows Ethan kind of like rethinking his strategy a little bit, where he was about to just ascend, but he wanted to try one more time. And maybe that's when he came up with the teamwork concept.
That sounds much more likely to me. Or he maybe not even that's when he came up with it. Maybe that's he tried to find what he was looking for one more time, and he actually found it and realized the teamwork thing um, as he was, creating this team. Because Yaren was, I think, if I'm remembering right, it's been so long since I've read the second book, but I think in the second book, Lyndon was seen as kind of like a curiosity at first, but Yaren was who he was looking for, right? Um,
Well, kind of. I mean, Ethan noticed the Abaddon marble within moments
right.
of paying attention to them. But yeah, I mean, the I guess the part that matters is that he was looking for people that showed potential in being able to progress quickly, and the disciple of a sage is like right up there. So Yaren, and now we know that Tiberian.
Here's an idea, definitely off the wall, but uh, I think I found maybe an idea that Lyndon might try to put into practice for forcing monarchs to ascend, and that's by figuring out the secret to the Sacred Valley weakening field or whatever you want to call it now. Um, I wonder
Suppression field.
if using the labyrinth, he could figure out how the suppression field works, and then emulate that around a monarch and force them to ascend or die, basically. Uh, that seems like a plausible idea, at least for somebody that's not on quote on their side, like Rhaegon Shin, maybe using a suppression field because of
I
how many.
mean, can't he turn his arm into the same kind of medium?
I
I mean, like
mean,
that's kind of what you
maybe
said. Like, why
just
can't he use his
braining their.
arm against a monarch to suppress them and freak them out until they ascend?
Well, you do have to
Get your
touch
hands
them
on
to
him.
do that, but
Well, I
yeah,
mean, shit. The hollow domain doesn't have to touch them.
Yeah, but you do. I'm just thinking like Lyndon likes to trick, not trick, but he's very, the White Fox, Path of the White Fox, kind of built into him still. Where I think that you could have somebody walk into a suppression field as a monarch and
But
um,
monarchs have senses and authority and the ability to like observe things in ways in which,
Lyndon will find a way to trick him. You know they will. You know he will.
yeah, if only he
Um,
had and the ability to teleport anywhere in the world for cheap and sneak up on people using an
True.
ancient super weapon.
If only. Yeah.
If only. Um,
Mm.
all right, we are reaching the end of time, but let's wrap this up. So, you think that Yaren is going to grow beyond Lyndon and leave him, and Lyndon is going
Not
to
what I
be
said.
Lyndon is going to be a sad boy, and you
uh,
think that that Lyndon is not going to realize that he can use the soul home outside of the labyrinth, and he will have to always return to the labyrinth to Soulsmith. Uh,
Also not what I said, but keep going.
just playing.
I
Um,
like your crazy interpretations of things that I may have said.
you think that Athan had no intentions on teamwork until his whole family gets murdered by an angry lion, and you are a sad panda about your ability to predict the future. So you would not be welcome into the Hound Division.
Yeah. I mean, if I could predict the future, I probably wouldn't have come to Germany. So,
Oh, got him. Damn. That's a great one to end on. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening to the Information Requested podcast. If you would like to request more information on what you'd want to hear from us, please let us know in the comments below. Please spam Remix with your personal opinions on his personal opinions,
uh,
uh,
please
because he
do.
loves the attention. He loves the attention.
Of course I do.
So once again, thanks for listening and have a great time reading.